Today on Week in Review, experts gathered for the UMBC Stream Symposium, commodity winter ran, and vitamin D impact study. Hello and thank you for joining us on Week in Review. I'm Helen Asante. The District of Kitimat has announced they are further enhancing healthcare by boosting healthcare incentives to include housing allowances. The district says the addition of housing allowance as part of the healthcare recruitment and retention incentives program means that eligible professionals can either receive up to 3 months of rent or a single lump sum payment to support the purchase of a house. This added incentives means local healthcare providers have support to access stable housing and encourages them to buy homes and set up roots in the community. The Housing Allowance builds a program launched in August which provides financial incentives for healthcare professionals accepting position in Kitimat. The first year of funding for this program was provided by LNG Canada. A local social service organization is trying out a new event next month as a potential yearly fundraiser. CFTK-TV has more.
December 14th will see the Kermode Friendship Society put on an event for the first time as they look to raise money with the intention of putting themselves in a better position to help people.
So December 14th, we are hosting our first ever walk and run fundraiser for our outreach program, which Jamie is the coordinator of, as a fundraiser for the homeless and the people out on the streets.
The Warm Hearts Winter Run is set to begin at 11 in the morning and last until 2 in the afternoon, and will be located at what was once known as the Grand Trunk Pathway. The total distance that participants will be traveling is 5 kilometers, and the Society will be offering Christmas-themed items to anyone who wants to wear them. The Society's executive director also explains where the idea to put on this event came from.
My husband's a very avid runner. He is part of the Skeena Valley Run Club, and last year there was a Make-A-Wish Foundation, just a fun run where you sent in your registration and you got a free Santa suit, and he kind of spearheaded that last year. So we were having a conversation. I asked, are you doing it again this year? Like, are you going to do it? What's the plan? And he wanted to focus on something local so the funds and stays within our community and supporting a local charity or a local organization. And he said he would support us if we wanted to do it and maybe put it towards a program within Kermode, and we had a conversation, and it's all going to go towards a good cause and stay within our community.
People can register for the events online beforehand up until December 12th on a website called Tracky, where it costs $30 to enter on your own, $50 to enter a family of up to 4 people, and $100 to enter an organization. It will also be possible to register the day of the event for those who make their way to it. Donations of items like socks and mitts will also be accepted, and food like cookies, hot chocolate, and candy canes will be waiting for those who cross the finish line. For CFTK-TV News, I'm Kale Maslin.
Northern BC rivers, lakes, and watersheds are under growing pressures from climate change, shrinking snowpacks, and rising water temperatures. Experts and First Nations gathered last week for the UMBC Stream Symposium, a 2-day event focused on projecting the region's most vital resource, water. The impact of climate change is becoming harder to ignore, and at the UMBC Stream Symposium, the message was clear. Warming temperatures are reshaping hydrological systems.
So we have this ongoing climate change where we have seen that the shift already started, but we have also looked at the future projections using data from climate models. And when we use this climate model data, air temperature, precipitation, into our hydrological model, then we can project how the stream flow is going to change in future.
Dr. Shiraj explains signs are visible in local rivers and lakes.
One of my research, we have seen that the water temperature already has been increased by roughly 1 degree in our rivers, which seems a lot from the fish biologist point of view. Like And we are seeing, like, along with the water availability in next 30 years, the water temperatures, like in some studies, they are saying that water temperatures are projected to increase by 3 to 4 degrees. And in future, we are also seeing like more dry and warmer condition in our watersheds, which will create favorable condition for wildfire, for example.
As climate pressures grows, expert says future of northern BC's water depends on evidence-based planning and strong regional cooperation and collaborations.
Often there's a component where we need to do good modeling, and that modeling needs to rely on good data. And then ultimately you have to have an objective, right? A goal for your study, something you're trying to test or something you're trying to improve. And so to get all of those pieces working together is actually quite hard, because there's not just one group that's got all of that expertise, from the fish to the modeling to the field work to the community impacts to all of that. So it's really about bringing these groups together. And that's, again, like our workshop last week was quite interesting, and quite, I think a lot of us, our eyes were opened quite a bit at how many different groups are doing so much work in the north. And it was a great opportunity to start improving some of those collaborations.
For communities across the north, this symposium marks another step towards safeguarding the watersheds we all depend on. CFTK-TV News, Helen Asante. Up next, Justice for Seb March. A memorial march took place as the family of Sebastian Moore continues to seek justice. In late November of 2023, a 17-year-old Moore was stabbed to death just outside of a residence on the 3,000 blocks of Clinton Street. Moore's family said that he was attempting to defend his cousin from her allegedly abusive partner. The individual allegedly responsible for the stabbing was not charged, and the family has since been advocating for justice. Supporters wore pink in memory of Sebastian. This was the second march of its kind related to Sebastian's case. Researchers at the UMBC Northern Medical Program examines how vitamin D levels may influence brain functions in young adults across Northern BC and may be linked to reduced cognitive performance even among healthy university students. The project highlights ongoing concerns about limited sunlight in the northern communities, finding that vitamin D insufficiency is still common even among healthy, high-achieving students.
Vitamin D is really hard to get from the diet, so there aren't very many foods that have an appreciable amount of vitamin D. And as you know, there are several months of the year when we can't make adequate amounts of vitamin D from the sun. So almost everybody has insufficient levels of vitamin D, particularly in the winter.
She shares detailed experimental observations.
This particular study, it was immediate recall of words and numbers. So we looked at a list of words. I think there were 15 words altogether. And this list was repeated a number of times, but it was the first few repetitions of the list that the participants had the most difficulty with. So they didn't perform as well on the immediate repetition if their vitamin D levels were lower. But as the number of repetitions increased, then they were just as good as the individuals with higher levels of vitamin D. So it just seems to be that immediate memory. And same for numbers, repeating back a series of numbers the first time around was less efficient. So they would need more repetitions to get it right.
Speaking with Jenna, now a graduate, shares her experience through the research.
I was really surprised. I think we weren't expecting the results that we got, especially with having them be university students, because they are using their cognition so often. And I feel like growing up in the North, I was born and raised in Prince George, so I feel like people talk about vitamin D a lot and how we don't get that sun, but I feel like a lot of people don't actually know the consequences of having lower levels. And I found that among my peers, like, it's really not common knowledge for young adults to be aware that vitamin D is important. So that's one of the benefits of this study, is to kind of bring awareness of young adults.
Dr. Jackie suggests that vitamin D supplementation could play a role in supporting cognitive health for young adults.
Particularly during the winter months, we would recommend, based on our findings as well as those in the literature, for most adults, they would need between 1,500 and 4,000 international units per day to reach that level.
CFTK-TV News, Helen Asante. Men in the terrace area who are struggling may have a new place to get back on their feet in the future. CFTK-TV's Kale Maslin explains.
A man living just outside of Terrace is putting together a project with the intention of assisting other men who have been having a tough time lately. Chaplain Michael Brousseau of the Dominion of Canada Academy Society detailed how he intends to transform his personal property.
I've decided to help men that are in trouble in this area here with a nice, safe, warm place, a farm type setting, to be able to have them get a grounding that will set them on the right track. And I don't have to do anything major. I don't preach at them. I just give them a warm, safe place. And it's biblically based. And I've seen too many people here dying on a regular basis. Drugs, alcohol, fights, whatever. And so I decided I can help maybe 5, 10 men on my piece of property. I have 12 acres. And so I'm opening up a farm. I want to have cows, pigs, chickens, lambs, goats.
Although the private space likely won't be open until around the spring of next year, since Brousseau's property needs to be cleaned up a bit. But the cleaning work isn't the only complication that he is dealing with, as the trailer he is intending to let the people who come to his property sleep in is currently stuck by someone else's property, and a couple of his neighbors have not been pleased with where it's sitting.
My trailer's blocking the road a little bit. I've got it, when it was put on there, I couldn't move it on property because I put 20 truckloads of gravel to widen it up to do it. But I did it in the rain because it was, it takes time to get things. I had to find money. I had to, hire the truckers, and it took time to get it done. The building was given to me, and I was given a deadline to get it out of there or they'd destroy it. And I went, I want it. So I said, I'll put it in my neighbor's front yard. He gave me permission. But the thing is probably 10 ton and I can't move it. I was going to move it with an excavator, all set to go. But because they called the police on me, I can't do it that way because it's illegal, I've been told. So I've done it the wrong way before in the past, trying to help people, So I'm not doing that no more. I'm doing it the right way. And so we'll take it as it comes.
Brousseau's plan is to store the trailer in an area that is currently being cleared out before placing it in a spot he picked out on his property. He also mentioned plans to build a jungle gym/play area for kids and repair a jacuzzi that he was given to use for his space as well. For CFTK-TV News, I'm Kale Maslin.
After the break, a new art campaign from the district of Kitimat. A new art campaign from the district of Kitimat gets candidly honest about the area.
But life in Kitimat is about balance. Stefan is able to grow his own produce thanks to Kitimat's fertile growing conditions.
It rains a lot.
And when the deluge comes, you can go fishing because you simply can't get wetter than wet, which holds true indoors at Kitimat's beautiful aquatic center. And while the garden does love the rain, Stefan has yet to grow a pineapple here. For that, the grocery store will suffice. Or perhaps a meal prepared at one of Kitimat's many restaurants.
Kitimat has the basics, but any of the more general shopping options are in Terrace.
Oh, Stefan, let us not speak of geography. Let's speak of opportunity.
I do a bit of volunteering with the Kitimat Marine Search and Rescue. Volunteering is a good way to meet people and help the community.
900 horsepower of pure altruism.
The full ad is on the Kitimat-bound YouTube and social media pages and is being very well received in the comment sections. Students were allowed back to school in Bella Coola, where a bear attacked a group of students and teachers but the kids couldn't leave the grounds and the bus was doing door-to-door service. A statement from the independent school in Bella Coola says it's taking additional steps and precautions to ensure safety for all the students as it welcomes their return.
What we're trying to do is just focus on keeping the community safe and trying to locate the bear.
Just days after a grizzly bear attacked a group of 20 elementary school students and teachers in Bella Coola, the environment minister very much focused on finding the sow and 2 cubs involved. Conservation officers captured a bear Monday morning.
The evidence that they've collected so far suggests that this was not the bear that was involved in the attack on the children and the teachers. The bear continues to be searched for by the conservation officers. Additional officers were sent up today.
A second bear was captured Monday afternoon in Bella Coola. It hasn't yet been established whether it was involved in Thursday's attack. This just a latest high-profile grizzly encounter. Last month, 2 hikers were attacked in Prince George, and a BC man was also attacked in East Kootenay, initially fighting the bear off before dying of his injuries. And in Alberta last month, a hunter was also left seriously injured by a grizzly. It's prompting calls to revisit BC's ban on grizzly hunting.
Obviously, there's other tools around mitigation, attraction management, bear conflict, but a number of places that, historically were opposed to grizzly bear hunting, we're hearing more and more from them now that they're really concerned, and there's having additional conflicts in the last couple of years.
But some experts are pushing back on the idea of reviving the hunt.
Across British Columbia, over about a 35-year period, the only statistical signal that is correlated with grizzly bear conflict is declines in food supply, specifically salmon.
Derimont insists there are alternatives to a hunt.
And that is supporting the restoration of salmon runs, both the stream spawning habitat, looking again at harvest levels out in the ocean, and very importantly, helping humans manage attractants in their area.
The government will examine the hunting policy in the coming weeks, but says it will not make any immediate changes. Martin McMahon, CTV News, Vancouver.
Still to come, Rupert's search and rescue. Prince Rupert's Search and Rescue have reported that they have been dispatched to Lac-Oulam's at the request of the RCMP. Search and Rescue says their mission was to conduct a specialized evidence search to aid an investigation dating back several years in the region. Search and Rescue reports worked alongside Terrace Search and Rescue, conducting rigorous Type 3 close-grade searches across a designated beach area and adjacent forested terrain. They are deeply committed to supporting the RCMP's investigations efforts and utilizing specialized skills to help bring resolution and closure to the family and community of Lac-Oulam's. It's an alarming statistic. More than 23,000 patients have died while on wait lists for surgery in this country, and in the last year alone. CTV's Heather writes on the numbers and one family's heartbreaking personal story.
Debbie Fuster was expecting a straightforward triple bypass operation, a few days in hospital and then recovery at home. Except the Manitoba woman died before ever getting the surgery.
It still feels like shock.
Daniel Fuster says doctors told his mom she needed heart surgery within 3 weeks. She was left waiting for nearly 3 months.
There was some major mess ups that resulted in her file basically not going to where it needed to go.
Fuster is not alone. According to public policy think tank secondstreet.org, nearly 25,000 patients died in Canada while waiting for surgeries or diagnostic procedures between April 2024 and March 2025. But the organization warns the numbers are likely higher, as many provinces don't track these deaths or only collect partial data.
Fundamentally, these are embarrassing numbers, and I think that's why governments are not keen to go out and track them carefully.
Second Street is calling on all provinces and territories to track and disclose these deaths. They also want to see hospital funding tied directly to performance, a reform they believe will improve wait times.
It's crazy to keep doing the same thing, throwing money at the system and hoping something will change.
Another proposed reform is Debbie's Law, a Manitoba private member's bill championed by the Fuster family, which would require health authorities to inform patients when life-saving treatment cannot be provided in a timely manner.
Debbie's Law is not perfect. It's not going to solve every problem. but it is a great starting point to begin asking for transparency.
This year's numbers mark a 3% increase from last year, and according to 2nd Street, since 2018, more than 100,000 people have died in Canada while waiting for some sort of surgery or procedure. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
Rio Tinto recently announced that they were donating $400,000 in total to 15 organizations across Canada who provide services to people impacted by gender-based violence. This donations was done with the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence in mind, as it will be running over the next couple of weeks, and it's the 7th year in a row that Rio Tinto has made a donation to it. 2 organizations in the northern BC are getting a piece of the donation, as Terrace's own Kessan Society and the Elizabeth Fry Society in Burns Lake will both receive $25,000. The rate of insomnia goes up with age, and so does the use of sleeping pills. Seniors in Atlantic Canada tend to sleeping pills the most, which is why a researcher is on a public speaking tour to teach people about alternatives. Sarah Plowman has the details.
In the morning, George Marcoux feels lighter, has more energy. Welcome after decades of struggling to sleep.
I was taking those sleeping pills as I take a candy, that's all. You know? So I did it for 35 years.
He didn't question it when a doctor prescribed him the sleeping pill, but after a near car accident, he wondered about the side effects.
I was waking up in the morning and I was looking dizzy or...
Marcoux joined a study to wean himself off the drug. He journaled, did cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, CBTI. It worked.
In a scale of 0 to 10, how I feel, it's 10.
This Dalhousie researcher is hosting public talks to share alternatives to the pills.
We should be rethinking our overuse of sleeping pills, and we should start to look more into how can we quickly, easily access CBTI and use it as our baseline default treatment of insomnia.
New Brunswick has the highest rate of sleeping pill use among seniors in Canada at 22%. The national average is 8%.
There's some parts of New Brunswick where the rates are 3 to 4 times as high as other parts of New Brunswick.
It's unclear why. Professor David Gardner has a theory.
If you start to see other people using sleeping pills and you're having a few rough nights of sleep, you'll go ask about sleeping pills.
When their studies sent seniors booklets laying out alternatives, researchers say a quarter of patients stopped their medications and improved their sleep. Marcoux was one.
I'm not asking people to stop. I'm asking people to talk to their doctor, their pharmacist, about that.
Sarah Plowman, CTV News, Fredericton.
That wraps up this edition of Week in Review. Join us for CFTK-TV News weeknights at 5, 6, 6:30 and at 11. And check out Open Connection weekdays afternoon starting at 5:30 between newscasts. I'm Helen Asante. For all of us here at CFTK-TV News, thanks for watching.